Okay, they asked her to repeat her question. Namo Shakya Muni Buddha, dear Thầy and Sangha, I would like to ask you to talk more about this thing every single day. You talk and remind us to be sincere with our practice. And for me myself, whenever I ask you a question, you tend to tell me that I was not sincere enough with the practice, and I felt like that is unacceptable. And uh, eventually, I realized that I just keep chasing after your words. And then I figure out that if I am sincere with my practice, I wouldn't be um, I wouldn't be distracted by the external conditions, by happiness, sadness, etc., and then keep losing my practice. You keep telling us to prioritize the practice, but we tend to not prioritize the practice, but instead keep chasing after the external conditions and wasting our time every day. It's so unfair to do that, and I feel like blaming myself because I didn't appreciate uh, you and the patriot. Could you please talk more about this? Thank you, Thầy. Thầy said when we talk about the practice, for example, our method emphasize the practice, and then also with the practice we have to always rely on the Buddha, the patriots, the wise teachers, and use their teachings to remind us. We are like the kids or the babies. We don't know how to walk yet. We just started learning to walk. We need to rely on the adult to help us know how to walk. So for the little kid, they learn how to walk. For the adult, we also learn on how to walk in life, to be on the right path. If we don't have the instructions of the more experienced people, the people with the right view, like the Buddha and the patriot, then it is very difficult for us to be diligent on our path. So when we talk about meditation, it means doesn't matter what the external conditions are, the internal have to be stable. However, for us, we keep generating thoughts and illusions whenever we face the external conditions. And therefore, we are not able to end our attachment. And then the skillful means to help us to not give rise to the attaching thought, that is this method. But because we don't believe in the method and still not familiar with the method, we are still not able to believe in the mind and familiar with our true mind. That's why we keep fall into our attachment. The Buddha taught us that we should enter the stream, not exit the stream. We give rise to the thought of practicing and liberation, but we keep, looking outward. We keep exiting the stream instead of entering the stream. We want to be liberated, but we keep, you know, chasing after the external conditions and keep creating karmas that lead us further into constraints, not liberation. Without the wise teachers, without the right Dharma, it's almost impossible to reach liberation. So for us who study Buddhism, it's very difficult to have the right view, to discern the right Dharma. And even so, maintain the practice is also difficult as well because of our karmic habits. And therefore, it's very important for us to rely on the Sangha on our path. Most of us just follow our habits and attachment. And we tend to not prioritize the practice, but instead prioritize the attachment. Some people thinking they go into the temple and learn a bunch of degrees, but instead of using what they learn to practice, they use that to nurture their ego and become more and more arrogant. Not respect other people, not getting along with their co-practitioners, and even disrespectful to the patriot. Some other people, they kind of successful in their life, and they started to accumulate their own possessions without knowing. Doing that, they are actually build up their ego stronger, which also tie them up further with birth and death and create more karma. So to stay close to the wise teachers, stay in the temple, stay close to the bodhisattvas, the people that have the mindset of liberation. So when we stay close to the temple, we stay close to the people with the mind of practicing. They can help, influencing us and help lessen the karmic energy. So Buddhism nowadays we are in the Dharma ending age. Because of that, lots of people have a lot of sickness with their body. Not just like that, but also sickness in their mind. Everything is created by the mind. Not just nowadays, but people at the time of the Buddha, same thing. However, right now, we are very far from the time of the Buddha and the wise teachers. Therefore, lots of people don't believe in the right Dharma, but instead they embrace their ignorance and go in the wrong path because they lack the practice, then they lack the right view. Also, their practice keep, not making progress because of maybe the sickness on their body or other challenges as well that discourage them on their practice. They make a vow, but then they was not able to fulfill the vow. They said they're gonna practice, but they don't practice well. They don't keep their doubt. So you can see that they are not sincere with their practice. And when we tell them that they are not sincere with their practice, they start feeling offended, you know. And we cannot just keep reminding or cannot keep saying something if people don't accept that. Like during the Buddha time, Shakyamuni Buddha said, sometimes when he told people they don't listen, and there was time that the Buddha had to went into the forest to stay there, or went into the heaven realm to teach the Dharma. And then people have to ask um, Moggallana to look for the Buddha, and Sariputra to look for the Buddha as well. All of those as skillful means that happen every time, the time of the Buddha, the patriarch, and nowadays as well. Not because of anyone else, but sometimes it's because of us that we break the good conditions that we have with the Dharma. So the right all the retribution will follow the main retribution. When the main retribution is good, then everything else will fall into place. That's why the Buddha said it's very difficult to find wise teachers. In the past, when the people they find a wise teachers, they find every possible way to stay close to the wise teachers. It's not easy at all to find a wise teacher. So we need to appreciate the current conditions. We have to plant the wholesome seeds and nurture the main retribution. The main retribution is strong, then all the other retribution will also be good. Miss Tam has a question. Dear Thầy, dear everyone, when I practice, my mind feel free and unbothered. If I keep attached to that stage, I fall into attachment. Correct? Please, can you please me some advice? Thầy said all of our thinking and differentiation leads to our own, our own knowing. All of those are the objects of attachment, like our knowing of, peace versus not peace. They are still within the subject and object of the knowing. So if we keep the doubt, whether we know or not knowing, we don't attach to any of those. So when we fall into the thinking we still within the four statements. Only the practice will help us move away from the four statements, and then move away from all thoughts, you know. So our practice, ask the question, raise the doubt, is to not hide away from external conditions or try to kill our illusory thought at all. We just need to be normal. When we talk about no news, because we attach to there is news, that's why we say no news. Same thing. Because we attach to birth and death, that's why we talk about nirvana. But in reality, there is no birth and death, and therefore no nirvana as well. Like in the Complete Enlightenment Sutra, it was said that the house never spin. Why do we say the house spin? It's because of we are sick. That's why the Buddha give out the medicine, but the sickness is fake. Therefore, the medicine is also fake. Once the sickness ends, then we don't need the medicine anymore. So with our practice, whatever happens, we don't need to stress about it. We just need to maintain the practice. Ask the question, raise the doubt. And on our path of liberation, we keep learning. So we are not get challenged by our ignorance and karmic habits. And we don't fall into the trap of those, like the Buddha said, the 50 mental states. If we don't fall or attach to any of those states, then that is a good state. If we attach to a state doesn't matter, it's not good. So even the arhats, they are still within one of the 50 main matters, the 50 five scandals matters. And that's why we are advised to have to give rise to the thought of having nothing to gain. If we still want to gain something, we still within attachment. For the bodhisattva, they still have a very subtle attachment, like the most subtle attachment, or we can say the transformational birth and death is still there. The birth and death of the mind. Only the doubt can help, end the root of birth and death, even the most subtle root. So we have to appreciate the conditions that we have with the right Dharma and practice diligently. You understand? She said, thank you, thầy. Also, I have another comment. The wise teacher said, the knowing nature of the Buddha nature is always ready. But because we are suffering, because we use the brain to discern, if we don't fall into discernment, but just live with the knowing nature, like we look at everything just as they are and not raising any thought or attaching thought. Could you please talk more about this? Thank you, thầy. Thầy said that is the explanation of the Buddha. It is a skillful means, and it is also a fake medicine. He said the saints only have the worldly knowledge, but doesn't have attachment, while sentient being are deluded because beside the worldly knowledge, they also have attachment. So we already know that, but how can we not generate attachment? Everybody understand the explanation of the Buddha, but how can we end attachment? Like our body is still healthy, and now we suddenly caught a sickness. Then how can we make it healthy again? Who doesn't know that, this sickness is come outside, don't hold on to it, we all know that as well, but still we cannot get rid, still not able to find a way to get rid of the sickness. Same thing, we don't want to get attached, but how can we overcome that attachment? Like the knowing nature is always there, never lost, but the ignorance also, follow us. So the Buddha explained to help us recognize that we are sick. And the patriarch teach us on how to utilize the mind to get rid of the sickness. Like when we have another knowledge, it's like having a second head to the original head, you know, or have attachment. It's like we add another head to the original head. That is creating even more difficulties. And the Buddha already told us that don't attach to his words. But lots of people still reuse his words, saying like they understand it, but that is not wise. Those words are just a skillful means for us to believe in the mind and practice. So for our method, once we already explain the method, we should put the explanation aside and then focus on practicing. Same thing when you're sick, you talk to the doctor. Doctor explain to you, and you believe in the suggestion of the doctor. Then just focus on taking the medicine so you can cure your sickness. It, so it's like you have to apply the practice, not just keep explain and explain or focus on the explanation again. So we we conflict ourselves, we challenge, we are the one who create challenges for ourselves. We need to have a right view to be able to discern that. Our patriot usually said to utilize the skillful means of prajna to raise the prajna contemplation, to raise the doubt, and the doubt will lead us to enlightenment and see the self nature. That is to follow the intention of the Buddha and the patriot. You understand? Yes, I do. Thank you, thầy. Sư cô Pháp Tuệ. Nam Mô Sakyamuni Buddha, dear thầy, dear all teachers and all practitioners. I remember I listened to the Quy Sơn Cảnh Sắc. The patriot said, as a monastic, when we give rise to a monastic, become a monastic, we become like a rock for people to come and sharpen their things. But then when they come and sharpen their things to a rock like us, some of us react and said, why do you do that to me? Could you please talk more about this? I said the reminder of Master Quy Sơn is to remind us of our original mind. Wanted to point out to our sickness of attachment and ignorance, our karmic habits. Because of our habits, sometimes we go back against our original vow, original plan. It's the same thing like we are not sincere, like we give rise to reach liberation, but we don't truly find a way to reach liberation or truly practice. But we just, like accept being tied up in birth and death. Like the Buddha taught us to have nothing to gain, but we keep chasing, wanting to gain things. Or they teach us to have nothing to seek, but we keep seeking things. Or we make the vow to become monastics. So when we make the vow, we have to move away from everything, including our family, and just follow the right Dharma of liberation. But some of us do the opposite. So we are exposed to reality in order to lessen the attachment. But instead, when we expose to reality, we increase attachment further. Like we go into the temple, we practice to be able to see self-nature. And we said we're going to accept all the rules. But when we give out the rules, we don't want to accept that. We don't want to follow the rules. We just want to follow our own idea. Then how can we reduce our attachment? So you can see that even we are not even sincere with ourselves. Master We Sơn said, when we go on the path of liberation, our form, our mind have to be different from the common people. However, we still carry the same traits as the common people with no difference. Sometimes we even, have more, carry more than the common people. Then that wouldn't be considered a real monastic. We have to be able to conquer all of the challenges within us, as a way to pay gratitude to the Buddha and the patriarch, or else we are actually, lying to, or else we are just lying to ourselves. Lots of, some of us, keep calculating gain loss, and just do things because of our ignorance and attachment instead of compassion, and that will just lead us to more suffering. And keep doing that, we will lose our practice and put us under suffering. And there's a lot of rules in that book, and that's why normally we use those rules from Vi Sơn Cảnh Sách to help guide us on the right path. It's talk about a lot of rules, like about people accumulate assets without knowing that, the more they accumulate, they just gonna create more burden to themselves. So a lot of rules I talked about in that book to remind us to return to our original mind and not getting distracted by other conditions, and to make sure we not fall into the trap of, consciousness, the trap of the hell created by ourselves. If we, always maintain the practice, our mind will feel free. Như Hiếu, cô Như Hiếu has a question. Dear thầy, all teachers and all practitioners,
câu hỏi của con cũng có cái gì thầy? Cái này có phải là chưa đủ duyên không thầy? Xin thầy khai thị thêm giùm con là cái chuyến đi
your trip in November, even though I really want to join, but all of a sudden I have some thing coming up and I'm not able to join you, but I don't feel calm at all, but because I really want to follow you, but I can't. Could you, is it because the conditions are not enough? Could you please talk more? Thầy said, it's okay. If you cannot go this time, you can go another time. Don't worry. The most important thing is you have to keep your practice. The practice, we don't need to set a standard. Like, I need to end this illusory thought. I need to end that illusory thought. Or we don't need to set a standard, or I have to join this trip, join that trip, you know, and don't feel discouraged, don't feel bad if you cannot join. You know, there's a lot of things that can affect, you know, money, maybe finance, maybe health conditions, or you know, anything can happen, like you know, losing paper, war, etc., etc. You know, you have like we have to find a way to maintain a calm mind, and in order to do that, we have to maintain the practice. The practice will help us have a stable mind. So the most important thing is we already meet the right Dharma on the practice. That will help us to not be sad about have to go through suffering because of anything. So just keep your practice. Ask the question, raise the down. The time is up. Goodbye, everyone. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.